I'm adding on, everyone. I just wanted to let you know, up until now, I have not used any of these, the burnt sienna, the yellow ochre, vermilion, and gamboge and cad orange. I've not used them. What I've used in the sky would be the 3 blues, but I did not use Prussian blue. Instead, I used the Verritter. So right here. So this is a color note, but it's only used to get started. And then my instincts kick in while I'm painting. And, you know, if I need to, I abandon all of this. So you can see that right here in the sand, I used a bit of Quin Magenta and Sap Green. And when I really wanted to punch it up, I may use a little Rose Madder, but you know, I'm not sure. So I'm going to put this aside and just show you the result of the sand using the salt shaker. It looks like maybe the paper did not dry totally flat, so some of this occurred, which can be wiped out because my wax is still on the paper. It's still wet, everyone. So it's about 12 hours later and it's still wet. Actually, it's damp, and you can see that it's damp and you can see that it's wet because we've got these rolls. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna clean this up a little. I've brushed off a bit of the salt, and I'm going to go back in with the magenta. It's just so wonderful, isn't it? I mean, that is color. Okay. And of course, the sap green will neutralize it and just give it enough of the magenta to make it exciting. So it's going to read as brown, but it's color. And it's the equivalent of a neutral or a gray. I'm cleaning my brush. And my first step is to clean this area up and this one. So I'm just simply going to brush this off. I don't want my brush to be too wet. This area of the painting can be just a little smoother anyway, because that's what I see. So just smoothing it out. Notice how the wax does resist. So when they tell you that watercolor is unforgivable, they need to see this technique where I'm able to go back in and fix everything that didn't turn out the first time. I really do like all of this over here. I'm just going to soften this. Notice that this side is very warm and pink in color. This side is cooling off in temperature. And because what is at the top near the horizon, this area that I'm working now, is further away, my sand particles are not going to be seen. like they are at the bottom. Notice that I'm pulling in some of this color and connecting the subject with the background. And I am softening edges as I go. So with a smaller brush, I'm going to clean up. This area got really wet, and as many times as you saw me soak up this color, it continued to bleed on to this area. But now that it's dry, I can pull out some of the color and continue to clean this up. This is a round brush. You could use a flat brush and it would work maybe a little better. And you know, I'm gonna go ahead and pick up with the flat brush. If I can find it real quick. Okay, here we go. This is just a craft brush. Sometimes the bristles are just a little stiffer, and I don't see it working here. So this is not working. Okay, this is the equivalent of a scrubber. I can feel it. So this is going to come off in degrees, everyone, and I don't want to take our time while I scrub it off. Now you can see that I need to be careful because those are paper particles. So I'm going to leave that alone and do with you what I wanted to do when we got started, and that is to work the sand again. So I'm looking at the shadows at the bottom of the shell. I'm looking at these corners where I want to get darker. I'm careful not to use as much water. And you know, I have to stay away since that's wet. I don't want to get too close to the edge. Of the shell, or I'll have the same problem. I'm enjoying this push of magenta. The salt won't work unless you have good value. You have paint here for it to grab. And what will happen is it will soak up the paint. So it looks really dark, but it's going to soak up. The salt will soak up the paint. All right, let's see what will happen. We mentioned that this side of the painting is cool. I'm going to be adding some Veritter. Pushing that color. It's kind of a reflection of the shell. We're going to talk more about the shell in the next video. Okay, let's see how the sand responds to the salt. So everyone, I'm going to let this dry again. I'm going to leave it flat, and maybe this won't run around, and I'll get a better result. But I did want to show you that nothing is permanent unless you want it to be. Before I go, I can probably add a little more to the water. This is dry paper. On top here. Cleaning that up a little. And the wax is doing its part. I'm able to pull off some of those hard edges, and now I just have this foamy look, which is what I wanted. You know, sometimes I really do enjoy the first part of the painting. And you can see I'm trying to figure it out as I go. softening edges. Keep in mind it's going to dry 20% lighter than what you see. So it really is quite colorful at this point. I really do like this angle, by the way. It kind of mirrors the shell, and I do want that dark. And softening edges. I'm starting to play now because I don't know what the paint will do on top of the sand. It might just totally disappear. We'll have to see. But this Veritter down here is quite pretty, mixed in with the magenta. So again, I really don't know what's going to happen, but I do know up here so I think I just need to leave this alone.